Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. We got Darrian Douglas in the house,
Yo, what's
and
up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. And we have our very special guest tonight, Miss Sasha Masakowski. Sasha, I'm gonna unmute you and and everything. Um, but we just wanted to start off first of all by saying, thanks to Sasha for joining us because, and to everyone here in the New Orleans, Biloxi, Mississippi region, y'all be careful. There's a big storm coming. And this is the second time we've done our working artist project with a Monday hurricane.
Yeah, you're right,
So
bro.
hopefully that doesn't happen again. And Sasha, what's up? How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I just had a baby, so if I fall asleep,
Oh my God,
forgive me.
congrats.
Thank you,
Whoa.
thank you, thank you. I know she's like 12 days old, so
Whoa, that's amazing.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy, Sasha?
Yeah, that's
that's how,
amazing.
that's how long we've all known each other.
I
Darren
know.
has a baby.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. I know. It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's kind of a good time to like have a little bitty baby because you can spend all your time with the baby. Like you don't have to be like, oh, I gotta run and do this tour or this gig,
No, absolutely. Yes, it's nice to be at home and
Yeah.
to see all the changes from day to day.
Oh my gosh. Oh, sweet.
Well, we're not here to talk about no baby. We're here to talk about you, Sasha Masakowski. Yo, I think I want to start it out by asking you a very deep question. And the question is, why do you create?
I think it's the only thing that kind of like keeps me connected to something greater than myself.
Mhm.
And it keeps me feeling like, oh, this is like why I'm here. Like, this is why I'm on this earth. This is why I was born into the family that I was born into. It's like, I feel like I have things that I have to say that
Right. Oh, absolutely. So it's more like a spiritual pursuit than like, some people are creating it for fame and fortune or, to get laid or something trivial.
well, I mean, of course,
People are like that,
really to get laid. No, I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, no, it was never, I never thought like fame was never like the end goal. To be honest, like, I think what's way cooler than fame is like when I've always like, I seek to inspire people the way that like I have been moved and inspired by great artists. And I can think of a few people like in the very, like since moving to New York, a few artists that like completely blew my mind. And what's even cooler is when like those artists are like, yo, I really like your music. And you're like,
Right. Whoa.
I mean, that to me, that's it. That's,
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
greater feeling than that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, man, that's the great thing about New York, like you'll be hanging out playing a gig and then the person you admire the most, like for me it's like Tame or like Eric Harlan. Like
right.
you walk in and you're like, and they're like, yeah, I'm playing right after you, bro. And you're like, oh shit, like okay, cool. Yeah. So
Totally.
that's the beautiful thing.
That's great. So Sasha, how long ago did you move up to New York? You moved up there 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I've literally just been going down like, I guess like the pandemic, like everyone's got all this time on their hands. So I've been like looking through all my photos and videos from New York. And so I moved there in January of 2015. So yeah. And then I left New York like about a year ago and moved home.
So are you officially living back in New Orleans now?
Yeah, but it's sort of temporary. It's I was actually only planning on being here for 6 months, and then I was going to move to Los Angeles.
Oh,
And
word.
then this summer actually, and I had like a place lined up that I was going to stay, and of course the pandemic kind of like tossed all that out of the window. And now I guess I should, I don't know if this is my like official announcement. But it's official because I did it. I booked a one-way flight to Europe on November 1st.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. So you followed in your brother's footsteps, huh?
Yeah, well, my mom is German, so
Okay.
my brother and I have dual citizenship. So we both have a German
Ah.
passport, which is dope. I've always wanted to like live in. I mean, I've like spent a lot of time in Europe. I'm gonna fly into Copenhagen and spend a few weeks there, and then the plan is to maybe like sublet a place or get a place in Berlin and like check out Berlin for a while. And, like,
If I'm remembering correctly, you did a program in Europe
mhm.
for school, no? I can't remember.
Oh,
Did you do that?
like in college?
Was that, didn't you, like, I know a few people did that, like kind of an exchange thing over there.
Yeah, I mean that was bad. Yeah, that was right after Hurricane Katrina, and like
Yeah.
me and like Rex, Gregory, and
Yeah,
Nick
yeah.
Solnick and Alex Pena, a few of us like went over there as like exchange students. We were so young, we were a little bitty, but
Yeah.
but that was in Holland. Yeah, that was like my first time like living abroad,
Okay.
and then 2 years ago I got invited to do an artist in residency program through a Danish, like Jazz Denmark, which is like a big jazz Danish
Right.
organization.
So it was like you came from New Orleans, came to New York. New York wasn't good enough. You're like, fuck this New York shit. It's cold. It's snowing. Like what first I have two questions. Like what made you want to go to LA, and then why did you change gears and say, you know what, I'm just gonna go to Europe?
I wanted to go to LA. I mean, yeah, okay, the weather was one thing. I was sort of like, my lease was up in my place in New York, and I was like, and I was also traveling a lot, and it was just becoming like kind of a headache to like keep up this apartment. I was the leaseholder on this apartment, and just like I was like, I kind of like impulsively was like, you know what, I think I'm done with New York. Like I've been here for 4 years. I love it. I've grown so much. I mean, I needed that push. Like I needed to get out of New Orleans. I was getting all sorts of stuck here, feeling like, what am I doing? And everyone was like, oh, well, New York, if you don't go to New York with like a plan, New York is gonna like eat you up and spit you out. And actually I found it was the opposite. I think if you go to New York without a plan and you just let New York like influence you, and you just like, the first year I was like a sponge, and before I didn't perform like at all the first year. I just soaked in everything, and it was so important. But after 4 years I was like, all right, I get it. I don't want to I don't feel like I need to like spend as much time here. I can just like go to New York and stay with friends, and like it's really expensive and it's really cold, and like it's just like not an easy place to live, as you know.
Absolutely. Oh, I know.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I have a lot of friends in LA, and like I love the music scene there, and every time I go out there I feel like it's dope, like it's cool. A lot of stuff happening, a lot more like kind of underground DIY stuff happening there. And so, and I wasn't ready to, I like wasn't ready to come back to New Orleans. Like I was like, I don't want to like, I'm not ready to like, okay, I'm going to just move back to New Orleans and like, go be a lounge singer at the fucking Monteleone, like, or whatever,
Right.
like I can't fuck with that. So that's why I wanted to go to LA. But then the fucking pandemic hit, and now like, I don't know, who knows when like live music's gonna be back the way it used to be. I just feel like, and like the US is gross, man. Like I'm just like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out for a little bit.
Yeah. I think Greg can relate because he's French, and so maybe y'all will both be over there soon.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully. I mean, it's funny. Like it's funny after traveling all these last couple of years, and just like you, I'm sure you miss New Orleans, and New Orleans is a beautiful place. But after being here for the last 7 months, I'm like, it's time to go. it's time to at least go, experience some other things. But what was really crazy, I was like just actually like scrolling through the Art Market record that you did, and I was wondering, like, you've lived in so many different cities and had so many different experiences, and also like you're as New Orleans as they come in a lot of ways. You come from a musical family that has deep roots here, and now I was wondering like how how you have like managed to like maintain your New Orleans roots, but like allow all these different influences in your life and also in your music. Like, you know, again, like in an art market, like you're playing a bunch of like New Orleans tunes, but totally different, a totally different style. And
Right.
I was wondering if you could comment on that.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you just kind of you just like take all your influences and you like play Storm in the Gulf with like some crazy fucked up synth bass line, or you know what I mean? Or like, or you put Ico, you take Ico and like rewrite the lyrics and put a bounce beat
Like
under
a
it.
bounce beat, yeah.
Then I'm gonna make it
Yeah.
minor. That was actually Jason. That was all Jason Lindner, who's a good homie in New York,
Right,
and
right.
I had this like, and I had this bass line, but I was like in Europe, and I was like, God, I gotta finish this song. Like, here's my little MIDI bass line for this track. Jason, can you just like play this on one of your like, you know, $7,000 synths so it like doesn't sound like MIDI
Yeah.
key bass or whatever? And then he came up with these bass lines, and I was like, oh, okay, we using this. Like, forget what I wrote, and that's how that came out. But I don't know. I think New Orleans, like, I think the thing that like you carry with you when you're from here is like the like you just don't you don't take things too seriously, for better or for worse. I mean, people are fucking lazy down here, like myself included. Like I feel like everyone here is just like it's like the velvet rut or what, you know what I mean? Like people get lazy, but at the same time they don't like kill themselves, and they don't and I feel like in New York it's like people are really, they can be really serious about their art or whatever it is they're trying to say. And I think when you come in with this like relaxed kind of like, you know, let the good times roll like vibe, then people in New York are really like, they're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, this is like chill. I don't know. And also like New Orleans, like really, but New York is like this too. Like I feel like both cities really like cultivate individuality, you know, and
Absolutely.
celebrate individuality, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I tell that to kids, like if I'm ever teaching kids or whatever, especially like jazz school kids, and you're like, man, don't just like figure out like what makes you different than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then like go there, like explore that shit, you know, because
Yeah,
that's going to be what sets you apart, and that's what's going to give you a career ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I dig that. I always think of this because, you know, I'm from Mississippi
mm-hmm.
by way of New Orleans.
Right.
But I like to think like the South is just like the perfect balance. You know what I mean? It's like you get it done right before it needs to be done, but you get it done.
You get it done.
You know, no stress. We're gonna have a good time. You know, we're gonna take our time.
Right.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna walk slow. It's hot.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, it's like, come on, man, get it right now. We gotta. It's so much competition that you feel that pressure constantly, which is, I don't think is really good for your life energy in the long run.
Yeah, I was like really surprised at how much like my understanding of the value of time changed when I moved to New York, because like, you know, I was like, because everything takes so much time, and I think to some people, like, I mean, time is like, it's money, or it's even more important than money, you know what I mean? So it's like you're trying to call dudes to like do a rehearsal for a show that you want to do of your original music, and it's like, you know, it's a door deal, and you only get 20% of the door because like you're splitting it with 4 other bands, and the club you're gonna make $35 maybe from this gig, but then like, you know, you're hiring these musicians, they expect to get paid for their rehearsal time. You got to pay for a rehearsal studio, for the time for a rehearsal studio. You got to pay for people's cabs to get to and from. It's like, I just feel like, I don't know, like I kind of understood the importance of like people's time in a way that here everyone's like so down, you know, down to rehearse, down to play, down, you know, like no one's like, if you make $35 on the gig, you're like, okay, we can split that 4 ways. Like everyone's fine with, with getting like.
Sasha, don't be telling people that.
Right, I know. But that's the thing, because we're all, it's like more like we're all just kind of like in this more. I don't know. Does that make sense?
$35 goes a lot farther in New Orleans than it does in New York. 35, you can't even make it to the gig with $35.
Yeah. You know what it is? The culture is different. You know, like in New Orleans, I felt like we were all a family because it was only 10 of us. We was all 20 at the same time trying to learn how to play, and it was only 10 of us. We all knew each other. We hung out every day. And, you know, so it was more of a family. But in New York, it's 20 billion musicians, and you know 5 of them. Right. And you're like, fuck those other guys. I'm in this clique, you know, like, and so you get that. And so when that, you know, you're like, yeah, you got to pay my cab because you're not my family, you know. So it's a little different, you know. So
that was like a really good lesson for me to learn too. And now I understand I value time differently, and I value my own time differently. You know what I mean? Like I feel like my own, like in a way, like my understanding of my own like self-worth like jumped up a few notches after having lived in New York, you know, and being like, yo, okay, this is what I'm really good at. This is what I know I can charge a lot of money for. This is what my strengths are. This is what I'm not good at. Like call someone else, you know, like whatever it is. But like, but I feel like it kind of took New York to figure some shit out. I think everyone needs to live there at some point, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Go ahead, Greg.
Can you were mentioning earlier that you had like some big musical influences in New York. And I was wondering if you could share who had like influenced you on your journey when you moved up there.
Okay, so I think it's so funny. I literally have just been like going through all my photos. So like I'm reminiscing a bunch about New York. So I was just going through this, but I think, okay, there's a band called Deerhoof. I don't know if you
I love that band.
I know. Yeah. So, I mean, I had been a fan of theirs for a long time. Cliff actually is the one that like Cliff Hines got me into Deerhoof.
Okay. And
we used to play their records like on repeat, like doing these like Hildegard tours for 4 weeks at a time, talking about making $35. Oh, God. But anyway, but yeah, so I was a big fan of theirs, but then like seeing them live for the first time I saw them at the Market Hotel, which is this really amazing club right under the G train in Bed-Stuy, and like I mean, it just like it like changed everything. Just to see the way that they operated as a band, to see like their energy, the way the crowd they just fed off the crowd, and the crowd was feeding off them. And Greg Sonnier, the drummer, is just so brilliant, and he was just so himself. And he'd get up on the mic and he'd talk, and it was like watching him compose as he was just talking about whatever the fuck he was talking about to the audience, because he's just so deep. And I mean that I went home and wrote a bunch of music after I saw them play that show. It was so powerful, and I've seen them a couple of times live since then, always in New York. Another one is the first time I saw Anna Wise sing, you know, with one of her projects. Do you guys know Anna Wise?
No, I don't know.
Anna Wise is you probably know her from, she's like the voice on a lot of the Kendrick Lamar records.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In that City, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you heard her voice, you'd be like, oh, that's like, you know. Yeah, and so she has a band called Sunny Moon with a great producer called Dane Orr, and with Jonathan Horde, who's an amazing singer also. Okay. And and it was like the way she performs, the way she connects with an audience, it was so moving and so powerful. I still think like she's one of my favorite female artists, and I think she's like one of the greatest artists of our time, and writers, and she's not afraid to get really like go really deep within herself and be so vulnerable on stage. And I saw her, you know, the first time I saw her play, it was a CD release show. It was a packed crowd at like Mercury Lounge, I think. and it was just this energy in the crowd. It was just so magical. But then like I saw her again like a few months later playing some dive bar like way out in Bushwick, and like no one was there. Like there were 5 people there, and she had the same energy. Like she was
She did?
just, yeah, it was like
Nice.
but it was different. Like, you know, she was like, and she's like such a queen in my mind. Like she's just so amazing. But like, you know, she's up there like setting up her own gear, breaking down all her cables, and like after the gig, and like just talking to people, and like, you know, it was this like really like, but during the concert, like she just gave everything, even though there were 4 of us in the crowd or whatever, and like, you know, and that was really powerful.
That's great. There, you know, when Ellis Marcellus used to tell me all the time, man, like no matter how many people in here, we gotta give it 100%. You know, and that's what the great ones do. So.
Because if you don't give it 100%, it makes it a lot more difficult to give it 100% when you have to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I know, right? Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, so I was just thinking, man, you seem like you're a fearless individual. Just for somebody to move to New York and be like, you know, I'm gonna move to New York, I ain't gonna play no gigs for a year. That's crazy. Like that's unheard of. And then for you to be like, fuck New York, I'm moving to LA. And then fuck LA, I don't really want to do that. I'm gonna move to Europe. I'm sure you know like at least one person, but still that's a huge move. You leave your whole family and everything.
Yeah.
Like where do you get this fearlessness from, and how does it show up in your music?
That's really funny. I don't know. It's like fearlessness, or it's just like blind, like stupidity. Like, bitch, what are you doing? Like choose a place and like settle down and like actually, or like a fear of commitment maybe, or like something else. But I appreciate you. Yes, it is fearless.
Sasha, it is fearlessness, okay?
Right. I'm Sasha Fearless, yo. Not Sasha Fear, Sasha Fearless. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is just like this like need for always like exploring new places and new scenes and meeting new people, you know, and like, I mean, like think of all the cool people that you know. Yeah. There's like that many more cool people that you don't know yet. So it's like, you gotta fucking meet them somehow, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, and get inspired by different music scenes. And, you know, it's like, and I feel like I haven't lived that many places. And as much as New York, like I grew so much out of living in New York, I just feel like there's other cities that are going to make me grow. And I think a lot of growth happens in these like periods of like just like when you're uncomfortable, you know, it's like new, you don't really know anyone, you know, you kind of got to like figure out things. When I first got to New York, like, I mean, I was like, I would like go out and just like strike up conversations with everyone, and people would be like, why is she talking to me? Not for me. Oh, right. It's different here. That's right. But I don't know. And I still want to move to LA. I just don't want to, I don't want to do it right now. I want the world to like, or America to like get its shit together a little more, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, like having known you I mean, I've known you, but I don't, you know, we're not exactly like close, like you and Cliff would be close, but you know, like having seen you like from afar for a long time, like you definitely always portrayed a certain fearlessness in your personality and the way you hold yourself. And I think that's actually something like, you know, to be commended. And I think a lot of people admire that in you. And that definitely like shows itself in the music that you make a lot of times, you know, because I know like at Noka, you were a musical theater major, right? Oh no. Okay, so anyways, but you have like such a, you know, even like when we were doing random gigs at like the Monteleone. No, was it the Monteleone? Where do we used to play?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Where do we? One of
one of those bars downtown.
I think it was, y'all used to play the Carousel bar, right?
It's one of them. No, I don't think it was that one. It was. I'll remember it tomorrow. But you know, like you were always like, it's funny because like you were like, again, like playing like traditional jazz, but like in your own style, and you I think you maintain that like fearlessness and sense of adventure and like uncomfort, but in a positive way, like in all the music that you perform.
Mm.
So I wanted to commend you on that, just as someone who's been watching you for a long time. Like I really do admire that in you.
Appreciate
I wanted to ask you about, you had a recent project that was, it was really cool. You were working with Nicholas Payton, doing a bunch of live streams, and actually put out, I guess you guys put out one record and maybe putting out another soon. But I was wondering if you could talk about like what it's been, what the experience was like working with Nick, and also talk about, primarily you're a vocalist, but like also you do so much work on like electronic instruments and the drum machines. And I was wondering if you could, one, talk about like working with Nick as an artist, and also maybe kind of talk about like the different technology that you use in those settings.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, working with Nick has been amazing. He was like, yeah, he's like one of those hats that I've looked up to for so long, and like was always like real shy. Like I never really talked to him, and like, he's not like the most like jolly, like, hey guys, let's hang out, like kind of, he's definitely an introvert, but like but like his record, like Sonic Trance record, like, that should change my life too. Like that was like, so, yeah. And so, I've always had a lot of respect for him. And then I hired him. I asked him to play a show I had at Brooklyn Bowl a couple of years ago for Winter Jazz Fest. And it was a Trash Magnolia. Trash Magnolia is like my sort of alter ego, like art rock band, electronic kind of art rock band. And I knew deep down that like, I was like, I need to work with this guy. Like I need him to know like what I'm capable of. I'm not just like, I don't just sing trad jazz or whatever, So I hired him on this thing, not ever having spoken to him before, like DM'd him on Instagram. Yo man, are you gonna be in New York on this day? You wanna be like, play this gig with me or whatever? And he was like, yeah, sure. So anyway, and it fucking worked, because he was like, yo, your music's dope. And then he started calling me and Cliff to play some shows with him in New Orleans.
Can I ask, did you play trumpet on the gig, or was he playing?
I played trumpet, and he
no, but was he playing like other instruments, or was he?
Yeah, no, he played trumpet. Yeah, he played trumpet, and it was cool. And then the stuff that we've been doing lately. It's crazy because like for first 4 months of the pandemic, like we had this weekly duo gig like every single week for 4 months, which was so cool. And I feel like I don't know, I don't have a whole lot of experience as a sideman, a lot of singers don't. And I think and I've always wanted to, but like, unless you're doing backup vocals, like how are you going to be a sideman really? So it was cool because I don't know, I got to like, he kind of like gave me this experience, and also like not as a singer, like I don't really sing on that gig, not because I don't want to, and he's always like, can you sing more? But my brain I'm basically working so many things with like doing all the drum programming, and then like looping him, and like making sure all the like kind of live producing the whole thing. Like my brain is already like always working that. So just to get, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm like, I make the beats, I program all the beats. I get all these sounds from whatever, the internet, or sometimes I make sounds myself, or people give me drum packs, which is great. And then usually like the night before the gig, I'll like program all these beats and then come in, and then we'll start improvising on a groove that I've come up with. And then he'll lay down a bass line, I'll loop him, he'll play some keyboard parts, I'll loop it. But I have to kind of be like keeping an eye on him, because like I'm like, okay, is this going to be a 4-bar loop? Is this going to be an 8-bar loop? Like, is this going to be in is it 5-bar loop? And if it's a 5-bar loop, I got to change a bunch of settings because my shit only likes 4 bars. Anyway, so it's just like a lot of it's definitely like it's a brain challenge, but it's really fun. And like the more we did it, like I feel like we really got to a point where we were like having these really cool conversations with one another. And yeah, and we're gonna be playing on this Thursday at the trumpet festival. What's it called? Font Fest?
Yep. Font. Yeah. Yeah, so y'all make sure y'all tune in. What can they tune? They can tune in on Facebook, I think, to check that out, right?
So yeah, it's called the Font Festival. So we're gonna be doing a live thing there.
Cool.
Yeah, they could probably just Google Font Festival, Nick Payton, Sasha Masakowski, and find out what's happening with that. Yeah, man.
Sasha, can you dig in a little bit more into like when you like live producing, like what kind of software you're using and what your hardware is, and because this kind of like a new thing for me, and I know like you know you and Cliff have always been like exploring that side of music, and I was just wondering if you could kind of break that down for just me, a clarinet player.
Yeah, sure. So I wish I had them with me. I could show you, but they're in the other room. But I have a loop station that I use called a Boss RC505. It's a 5-track sampler and loop station. And that's what I'm using to loop him. So basically Nick all of his instruments are going out to the console and then routed back into me. And basically, so like, you know, anytime he plays bass or keys or trumpet, like it's being fed through my loop station. And if he gives me a look, then I'll be like, okay, he wants me to loop, you know, and then I loop him, and then he'll be finished with the loop, and then he'll kind of improvise on it for a while, and then like, you know, and then I also have 2 drum machines. I have an Electron Digitact, which is a really amazing drum machine, and I have a Korg Volcabeat analog drum sequencer, which is also a great little machine. So what's happening is like while he, like say he's, you know, laying down a bass groove and like, you know, I'll drop out the kick and the hi-hat and like just keep the snare in, and then like, you know, and then he starts taking a Rhodes solo, and when I feel like it's really coming in, like, you know, maybe I'll change the kick groove a little bit, like while he's doing something, so that when it comes, like I'll drop and bring the kick drum back in, but it's like slightly different, you know, or I'll drop the bass out at the same time and then bring them both back in. Like it's kind of like I'm kind of like trying to play, I'm like sort of like acting as if I'm all the other instruments, whatever he's not playing, I'm sort of like playing all those other instruments, but with loops that he has made. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. That's crazy that to hear you break it down that way, but like also to have the responsibility of like understanding the nod, but and really having like a lot of, I mean, you have so much power over the direction of the music.
Oh, totally. Oh, I know. It's really, you know, it's really my favorite thing to do is like sneakily, like he'll be in the middle of taking a killer like Rhodes solo over some vamp that he laid down, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna transpose all of this up a whole step and just see what he does, and I'll just be like bloop, and then I change the key of everything, and then he'll look at me, and then I'll just start shredding a whole step up, you know, and it's like and then I'll drop it back down, and like he's got to kind of like, you know, he catches it, but he's so slick, like he can hear anything and playing. Practice playing in every key, because you never know when you're gonna get a random singer that's your sideman that's gonna transpose it.
How do you think having like a lot of training as a vocalist has impacted like your understanding of like the drums and the loops and things like that versus maybe like having come to that like from an instrumental background?
Oh, I think because I'm using my ears with like everything I do is just hearing shit, and also like I'm also really hyper aware of how do I put this, like I really like space in things, you know, like I like songs that to breathe a lot, and also to get like kind of weird and like get really adventurous, and so I think, and I'm pretty aware of like kind of like femininity in music, and I think that that's like, I always like, if I'm listening to something and I'm like, it's just like, oh, it's just like too masculine, you know, like I think I like music to be like sexy, you know, like I think music, anything, there has to be this like feminine quality to it and this like sensuality to it. And so I think, I don't know, I feel like I can find ways to like, you know, like kind of make it grow, like make it so you're sort of like just kind of playing with the ideas a little bit, but you don't want to give too much away. And like, I don't know, it's like keeping sort of the mystery of it. And Nick never really knows what I'm gonna do, you know, so it's still like improvisational in that way, that we're still like, it's still very, we're still like really interacting, and everything is, I mean, everything is improvised, you know. Sometimes it'll be the same kind of ideas if that he'll play around with, but like it's always improvised.
Yeah.
So
Sasha, I want to swing things back around to you. I don't care about Nicholas Payton. He's cool, but, you know, but whatever. This is about you today. I'm curious, kind of like, because you have achieved so much success in your career so far and in your life, and you're so fearless. Like,
talking to
I'm talking to you, man. Like, you know, you're the you're the greatest. I'm just curious about how you overcome obstacles and failures in your life, and like what would you say your biggest failure was, and what did you learn from it?
wow. My biggest failure, oh, I mean, I think in a way that's easy. It was just, I think anytime I've like, I think my biggest failures are when I doubt myself, or doubt like my, like I'm not like true to like who I really am in a way. And I think in a lot of ways, like, um, I don't know. Like I wonder like how much farther along I would be in my career if like I had really just like stuck to what I always have known, which is that like like, look, I love jazz music. That's my background. That's my family. That's like what I've studied. It's like, but that's, I also know that that's like not really, I've always known that's not really who I am, you know. But I feel like for years I kind of like went down this road of being, and New Orleans has a lot to do with that. I mean, and not in a bad way, but like, you know, I was just like always playing jazz gigs or traditional jazz gigs and doing, you know, and like, and certain, you know, like if I go on YouTube, like my most watched like YouTube video is like from like, I don't know, 7 years ago, singing like St. James Infirmary. And like, I don't, you know, that's like, that's cool. But like, what if I had like relentlessly like stuck with like, I'm going to compose my own music. I'm not going to like, you know, I'm not going to fake, you know, just put a fucking flower in your hair and like put on a pretty dress and be this like corporate little like jazz princess. Like, oh, that's, you know. So I don't know. It's like at the same time, like, I mean, you gotta make money, and like I would make great money doing that too. And but I do see the way like other artists that I look up to have been just so like so clear on what it is that their voice is, you know, as composers and arrangers and singers and stuff like that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a deep one, and I learned that early on from my mentor Alvin Fielder, and he told me when I was like 12, he was like, "You need to be a specialist." He's like, don't waste your time playing all this other stuff that you don't love. Only play the thing that you love and specialize in that. And if they only hire you for that, you won in life, you know. And so, but you know, as long as we learn it, it doesn't matter that it took you however long it took you. You know, now you know. So now you just do your thing.
Yeah. And I don't, you know, I don't regret it. I mean, in a way, like that stuff has like led me to do some really like travel and play gigs and festivals that like maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. And like, and also like really learn about like New Orleans music and like the tradition of New Orleans music. And this is like my history, you know, and I have to honor that. And my father is like also this like legendary jazz musician, you know, like it'd be weird if I was like, oh, I've never heard of Lush Life, or, you know, like I just feel like it's definitely, and I think also like the fact that I feel comfortable, like I can hop on a stage with some jazz musicians like anywhere in the world and call a song and like and know how to speak that language, and that's really important, you know.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times especially like if I'm in Asia and places, you know, it's like that, it's no one's like, people are like not like, oh cool, you're a singer songwriter, like everyone else in the world, they're like, oh shit, you're like a fucking jazz musician from New Orleans, you know, like you can speak that language well. So I don't know if that's like my biggest weakness or something. It's not, but I also wonder like if I had just like relentlessly only pursued like writing original music, only performing that original music, only recording that original music, only, you know, like for the past 10 years, like where would I be right now, you know?
Well, you're gonna do that for the next 10 though, right?
That's the plan.
So there it is. Don't matter. Can't go back. We can only go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good epiphany to have. But, you know, again, as an outsider, I think you've done a wonderful job and really have shown a lot of balance and diversity in like your performing career. And, you know, it'll be cool to look back in 15 years and watch the St. James Infirmary video. And see, no, but like, you know, it'll be cool to like check it out. Just be like, man, like, you know, like I've come such a long way in my artistry. And, you know, remember when we used to do that?
I know. That's true. It's so true.
Yeah. We all unplayed St. James Infirmary at least 10 billion times.
But the real funny part is I got called today. I have to write an arrangement for it.
Oh, no. No.
Put it in 7. It's dope.
Put it in 7.
Oh, no. You're going to make a lot of motherfuckers' head explode.
I feel like you did play it in 7 when we played it.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
And we also played a Britney Spears song. I remember that too.
I love Britney Spears. Y'all ever go, if you really want like you're feeling bad about yourself one night and you just want to like binge something on Instagram, just like go to Britney Spears' Instagram page, because it's like out. It's out. I mean,
It's out.
It's out. Yeah.
Hey, she's just being herself, you know?
But she is, so it's cool.
Yeah, that's what's up.
She's probably telling the same things to herself. She's like, man, I wonder what my career would have been like had I just written my own music. Hadn't done the Mickey Mouse show. Man, I could have.
It's so true. You're so right.
Yeah. You listen, you just a minute ago you mentioned your dad and coming up in a musical family. Like what was that like? Because your brother is also a virtuoso. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, how does one raise 2 geniuses?
I mean, you're about to do it. You about to raise.
That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to raise the next president. How do I do it?
You're gonna raise the next president. Don't encourage them to become jazz musicians.
I will not.
Oh wow.
Don't worry.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, my parents were both like, you know, my mom's also like an amazing pianist and like classical concert pianist and also a visual artist, and ultimately like they gave us so much freedom, like me and my brother. Like they were like, y'all do whatever you want. Like you don't want to do music, we're not going to force you into music. You want to like live your life. Like they were very hands off, very like, you know, and we just sort of gravitated towards it, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, it's hard. It's like a hard question to ask because that's like the only reality that I've known. So I don't know how to compare it to, you know, if my parents were both lawyers or doctors or something, or, you know, like, like we just kind of like, there was just always music being played. I mean, I feel like I had a lot of exposure to like really cool sounds. Like I was telling someone recently, like, I don't know any classic rock, like literally no, because like I just I never grew up with that, you know what I mean? Like I used to grow up, like dad used to play us like Joe Zonal and like, you know, Sergio Mendes and like, you know, Herbie Hancock. Like that's the shit that like I really grew up on. And so I feel like I missed this whole age of like classic rock. Like I still don't know any of that stuff.
Your dad, when I was taking his class at UNO, there was one of the funniest moments in my life, and I will never forget this. And speaking of classic rock, kind of like jam bandy-esque type stuff, this is back when. Sorry, I'm gonna throw your dad under the bus here because it's a really funny story. But Ed Peterson, the three teachers at UNO had to do a commission, and like Ed had Stevie Wonder, Victor Atkins had the Beatles, and your dad had to do the Grateful Dead. And I remember your dad showed up to class one day and was just like, and you know, like your dad has like a very specific demeanor. He's like very like soft spoken. He was just like, it's really, you know, it's really not fair that Ed gets to do the music of Stevie Wonder, and you know, and it's like, it's great music, and Victor gets to do the Beatles. Like at least they wrote actual songs. And then he's like, and I have to do the Grateful Dead. It's not even music.
Oh, no.
Or he's like, I can't even figure out where the song is.
Oh no! Dang.
Oh.
And it was so funny. I was rolling around on the ground.
I know, but he still killed it though. He still like came out with these like amazing arrangements and like, I mean, yeah, but I know it's really funny. I remember that. Yeah.
Wow. We gotta get him on the show, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, we're getting kind of close to time, and before we go, I definitely want to give you a chance to plug some events that you got coming up. You got two coming up this Thursday that you already mentioned, the one with Nick, and the other one is
a project, or it's a gallery opening that my very good friend Kristen Bradford, who's a wonderful singer-songwriter, also she's hosting a month-long art gallery in the Bywater Art Lofts, and it's called Good Grief, and basically it's all about the community coming together to sort of, you know, to grieve. I mean, anything this past year, a loved one, it could be, you know, whatever it is, but sort of to like hold space for people to grieve. So the gallery opens on Thursday, and she'll be doing a live stream. We'll be live streaming a few concerts, and so I'm going to play a few solo Trash Magnolia songs.
Okay. So that's this Thursday, September 17th, 2020.
Yeah.
And what time is that, and where's the live stream?
You know what? You can go to, what is it, 7? It's at 7 p.m.
Oh, okay.
And it's on Instagram. Your Instagram? Okay. And you can go to Kristen's Instagram, which is Kristen Bradford. I'm also going to post about it on my Instagram, so you guys can check out my Instagram, Sasha Masakowski, and I'll talk about it.
Perfect.
Will that be open to the public to view over the month, or is that?
Yeah, it will be, but it's going to be by appointment only.
Okay. Cool.
But the artwork is incredible. I mean, I was just in there a few minutes ago, and it's stunning, and it's like it's going to be a really powerful thing. So definitely come through if you guys are in New Orleans.
Yeah. So that's this Thursday, September 17th, 2020, because this is recorded. So I don't want nobody showing up next year.
Right.
And you can either live stream or you can show up by appointment and see Sasha and all the did Kristen do all the art, or are there multiple artists?
No, it's like multiple artists.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a few of them. I know Io Scott is in it, and others.
Cool.
Nick Richard's in it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's dope. It's like a lot of local New Orleans artists, and it's a really beautiful space. So
that's what's up. Cool. So y'all go check it out. There's a lot of people writing and comments on here and shit. So y'all gonna have some people checking it out.
Okay, yeah, I'll put a link to in the comments too.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
And then also you have the performance at the Trumpet. What is it called?
Font Festival.
Font Festival.
Beautiful.
And that's on Thursday with Nicholas Payton.
You got any records coming out soon?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Anything you'd like to throw out there, or?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out exactly the timing of it, but basically I've been sort of like what do you call it? I have all these songs that I've been marinating in the studio, and it's as Trash Magnolia. Trash Magnolia, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is like my sort of electronic, all original alter ego. Some of it's kind of like pop stuff. Some gets really experimental, but it's cool. And I have a 6-track EP that I'm going to be releasing soon, and really cool music videos to go along with a lot of the songs. So I'm sort of, it's interesting with the pandemic and now with the election coming up. Like it feels weird to be releasing music. I'm sure you guys feel the same.
Oh,
You know what I
I
mean? Like,
absolutely do. Yeah.
it feels like real. Like I've definitely struggled with, feeling like maybe I should just hold this off. But then at the same time, like everyone's like, no, we need new music. We need this right now. But it's hard to feel like it's hard to self promote, I guess, when like everyone's suffering
Totally.
Yeah.
But also maybe the people need to hear some healing sounds.
Yeah, or some like angry sounds that they can like, get some rage. Some of the songs have some rage to it. So
That's what's up. Yeah, those songs are for me. Those kind of songs.
I'm a fan too. Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, you can if you follow me on social media, I'm gonna start rolling that stuff out really soon, and I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Cool. That's what's up. Yo, Sasha. Yeah, this is the Working Artist Project, and we man, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sasha.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Yo, hashtag fearlessness, yo. That's the hashtag for today. Sasha is the embodiment of that. And so I'm Darrian Douglas.
My name is Gregory Agid. Thank you very much, Sasha.